fight Nick Fury. One last fight.
Hey Marvel fans, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Name, and this is The Nerdy Lair. And will Secret Invasion give fans the Marvel content they've been dying for, or will it only slightly move the needle and we'll be in the same position we've been in since Thor: Love and Thunder?
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Well, in this video, I'm going to be talking about what I think the Secret Invasion show is going to be and why I do believe the expectations should be high for the show, and why I think the show will deliver on those expectations based on recent trailer footage and some of the crazy leaks we've gotten that have very cool ideas that I really want to talk about, but also a very big reveal that I think will shake the foundation of the Marvel fan base for years to come. Now, recently there was a Secret Invasion featurette that was released, and it was essentially a second trailer for the show. And now it didn't show us a lot of new footage. It showed us like this conspiracy theory dude talking to Everett Ross. But my biggest takeaway from it was the tone that the show has and just the vibe overall. It feels very gritty, and it feels more of like a Winter Soldier or even a Civil War type vibe. And I mean, when you think about it, you have an original Avenger member in Nick Fury, well, I guess you would say the founder of the Avengers, and then you have other established characters like Maria Hill or Everett Ross or Talos or the man himself, Rhodey, and they're all going to play a very big role in the show. And then you have the new addition of bad guy Skrulls or rebel Skrulls that I think have the potential to be maybe even better villains than in the comics because of the backstory they've been given in the MCU with them being more sympathetic. But now don't get it twisted, I think the Skrulls and Secret Invasion are going to do some very bad things, and they will be a huge threat just like in the comics. And I mean like a world-ending type of threat, like a very serious Avengers level threat. But what I'm really looking forward in the show is that like paranoia vibe and that like very political thriller espionage vibe that you get out of a project like Civil War or Winter Soldier or from the Secret Invasion comic itself. And I think this could be the perfect project for the MCU just at the right time when fans are feeling a little fatigued for your more campy or more jokey type of Marvel projects. And I think having something like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, well, I didn't think it was like a masterpiece or anything. It was a very serious and high stakes movie that I very much enjoyed. And if Marvel can follow that with something like Secret Invasion and then Loki that will hopefully have those serious and high stakes moments, I think Marvel can really build to something special. Now, I do have caution when it comes to the Marvels, but I think if that movie can be like okay or just decent and make like 700 or 800 million at the box office, that will be okay. And then that will lead into 2024, which I think is going to be the greatest year of Marvel content ever. And I mean, I've said it time and time again, I think we're going to be in store for some amazing content next year and going forward into phase 6 and phase 7. And I think Secret Invasion could be an injection of hypeness that can like recapture some of the fans that Marvel has lost. Now, I know what you're saying. Why would we trust Marvel to deliver on this Disney Plus show when a lot of other shows have had some really cool ideas, but ultimately were mid in the end? And my response to that would be, not only is the vibe of the show one of the reasons I'm so excited, but another is some of the major leaks we've been getting for the show. Now, right now, I'm going to issue a spoiler warning, and I'm going to make it a little longer. For the show specifically, there's a lot of spoilers that could really ruin parts of the show. So now that you've been warned, I'm going to start off with some of the more small leaks that aren't really big deals, but can help us piece together what the show is going to be. So the first leak says that Rhodey is going to be Secretary of State, which I mean, we all could guess that. But it is pretty interesting, and I guess it makes a lot of sense. But next, it says Valentina and Sharon are going to be in the show. Now, it didn't say for how long, but it is nice to see those two, and I would love for it to tie into what they got going with Captain America 4 and the Thunderbolts. And I will have more on Sharon Carter later that will be even more interesting than this. Now, this next leak was previously rumored and corroborated by other sources, and it says that Emilia Clarke, she's going to be playing Gaia, but also Abigail Brand, and her codename is going to be Nell. And the leak goes on to say that the Skrull poses as her, but also the real version, similar to how Ben Mendelsohn was playing Talos and a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent in Captain Marvel. So basically it's saying that Emilia Clarke will be the real actual Abigail Brand, but also be playing the Skrull impersonating Abigail Brand. And that could be really fun and interesting. And when I first saw Emilia Clarke, I was like, yeah, that's Abigail Brand right there. Like, she fits perfectly for the character. And I think she could do a phenomenal job. And I think she has some really good acting chops that can bring a lot to the table not only in the show, but going forward in the MCU as Abigail Brand. And the leak also says that Everett Ross is a fugitive after Black Panther, and he discovers a Skrull cell, barely survives, and he tried to contact Fury but can only reach Maria Hill. Now this is pretty cool. I enjoy the Everett Ross character, and I think he could be a pretty good addition to the show, especially in the way the plot leak is describing. Now on to the good stuff. First, it says that Quake appears in episode 3 and the last episode of the show. Now, I wasn't a big Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, but I like the character of Quake, and I think they could do some really cool things. But the leak goes on to say her first appearance is something like Matt Murdock in No Way Home, like a small little cameo. And in the last episode, she's going to be recruited by Nick Fury to a new team, which I think is going to be the Secret Warriors. And this next part is very interesting because it says they're not really going to address it, like if Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon or not, and they're kind of going to treat it like how they've been treating Daredevil in the MCU, which I think is like the right way to go about it. And like, I don't really care if it's canon, but from what I understand, it kind of takes itself out of canon in its finale. But you really don't need to address it, like she's here now and we can just move on. Now the next part of the leak I find very interesting, and I think will be a very key part of the show. And it says that the Rebel Skrulls see Talos as a traitor for continuing the peaceful way, and that he is not fighting for the right to a home. And I find this very intriguing because I think this is going to be the crux of why the Skrulls have turned bad. And I think Nick Fury will feel like he failed them and will feel like it is his fault. And that's why we get those lines from the first trailer when the lady is talking to Nick Fury and she's asking him if he feels guilty. And not only do I think it will drive the character Nick Fury, but I think it will drive the show, and it could even leave us as viewers feeling sympathetic for the Skrulls, but still understanding how big of a threat they are and that they need to be stopped no matter what. But this next part of the leak is the biggest part bar none, because this part of the leak says that it will be revealed that Sharon and Rhodey have both been Skrulls since after Civil War.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And to me, this is insane because of all the stuff we saw in Falcon Winter Soldier with Sharon and Endgame Infinity with Rhodey, and now they're just Skrulls. It's kind of crazy. And I know people will be upset and divided by that fact alone, that wasn't the real Rhodey, but I think if they play it like the comics where the Skrull is like a double agent and he actually feels like he's the hero, he's impostering. Like, for example, the Skrull for Rhodey would think he's Rhodey and would just go about his day as Rhodey, and he just wouldn't even know he's a Skrull anymore because all of his memories and thoughts would be like Rhodey. And I think that could kind of smooth it over and be like, yeah, that was Rhodey. The Skrull didn't know, he wasn't like acting or anything. And I think it could be really cool and just very reminiscent of the comic book with how shocking some of these reveals were. Like, it was crazy, and this is a big draw to Secret Invasion, and I want more people to be revealed to be Skrulls because a bunch of people were taken as Skrulls in the comics. It was kind of the whole gist. Now, continuing with the leaks, it says that the tone is similar to Captain America Winter Soldier and Andor, and that you can feel the paranoia of not trusting anyone. And when you couple that with the shock factor of established characters being Skrulls, I think you could have a really special project that not only captures the greatness from past Marvel movies like Civil War and Winter Soldier, but also captures the greatness from the comic itself and really becomes not only one of the better Marvel projects there's been out there, but one of the better adaptations Marvel's had. And like I said earlier, I think this project could build real hype going into something like Loki that can build even more hype. And as long as the Marvels don't ruin it, I think this could lead us into 2024, which I think will get some of the best Marvel content we've ever seen. So if you agree or disagree, leave your opinions down below. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And peace out.